When you tell people you're going to a festival full of bass trombone players, only bass trombone players, that's their first thing. You're going where? This doesn't happen anywhere else in the world, really. So I'm honored to be here. I thank Marshall and Bert and everybody that is responsible for organizing this. You guys should as well, when you get the chance, thank them for putting in the hard work. I know firsthand it's not easy to do something like this. So thank you guys. I'm glad to be here. I've already had I've already had some questions about where do I live right now. I'm known as a bass trombone player with the Metropolitan Opera and teacher at Juilliard. But this year I'm one of you guys. I live here in Europe. I flew in from Helsinki this morning, and I'm playing with the Finnish Radio Symphony Orchestra this year after winning their audition about 3 months ago. So it's a big change for me. It's interesting to be here in Europe and meet people and hear players and to talk about music. And that's, I guess that's what we're here to do. We're here to talk about bass trombone playing and music. And these guys asked me to give funny titles to my masterclass topics. So I was...
No, we didn't.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. So I tried to keep it clean. I succeeded there, right? No profanity in my masterclass topics, which was hard to do. But the class topic for today is called the 5-finger discount for bass trombone playing. And in America, we call when you get something for free, actually when you steal something, the 5-finger discount. You know, you grab it and put it in your pocket, and it's free. It's the 5-finger discount. You guys have that phrase here in Europe?
No, we've got a 10-finger discount.
Here. But it's the 5-finger discount when you get something for free. And I labeled this masterclass that way because for my idea about playing and for teaching, what we need to know about improving on the instrument and winning a job, being successful as a bass trombone player, has a lot less to do with how much you spend for lessons, how much you spend to go to school, what instrument you play, what mouthpiece you play. It has a lot less to do with that than it has to do with these 5 topics that are completely free if you embrace them and you get them into your daily routine and your thought about the instrument. And there are 5 little mini topics that I'm going to stress in my teaching and I stress in my own day-to-day practice that I just want to present to you now. 5, and there's one for each finger, thus the 5-finger discount. Something free on each finger. And when you come to a trombone festival and you've got lots of great players and lots of great teachers, a lot of the information is presented in different ways, and occasionally it may conflict. You may hear one teacher say something that's different or in direct conflict with another teacher. Don't be discouraged by that. Don't be confused by that. Realize that in most areas of life, there are lots of different paths that lead to success, and there are lots of different ideas about how to do things. So don't be confused if you hear information that conflicts or it goes against something you've been taught. Be heartened when you hear something over and over again. I think there are 4 teachers at this festival this year. You know, if you hear all 4 of the teachers mention something, realize, hey, that is something that I really need to think about a lot. You know, that's an important idea. And the first idea I want to present to you, I call it the thumb idea. The thumb is this topic of air. You know, have you ever known anybody without a thumb? The thumb is probably the most important finger. In America, a few years back, there was this lady had a pet monkey, and the pet monkey went crazy. You know this story.
I live in Connecticut.
Okay, so you know all about this story, right? This monkey went crazy and attacked someone and actually bit off this person's thumbs, right?
More than that.
Yeah, it was a horrible attack. It was a horrible attack. But it was a lady that the monkey attacked, bit off the thumbs, and they actually took the lady's big toes and they sewed them to her hands so that she would have thumbs again. That tells you how important thumbs are. Very important. You can do most things with a thumb and a finger. This topic of air, I label it the thumb topic because I think that especially as bass trombone players, especially as people that play an instrument like ours, this has to be something that we as bass trombone players, no matter how tall you are, no matter how physically gifted you are as an athlete, this is something we need to address every day in our warm-up and in our thought about the instrument. You could be the greatest race car driver in the world. You can have an incredible car, you can have great tires, you can have an incredible track, you could have been trained your whole life to drive race cars. But if you do not have the proper gas to go into that car, none of that other stuff is going to matter. And that's how important I think air is related to what we do as bass trombone players. If you haven't come to terms with the fact that this instrument requires lots of air used in the proper way, if you're not thinking about that every day, if you're not doing some breathing exercise, if you're not preparing your body to breathe well before you pick up the instrument, a lot of that stuff that you do with the instrument in your hands is going to be compromised by the fact that you have bad gas going into your instrument. And we're going to talk a lot more about this the next 2 days, I know. But I wanted to throw that out to you. You've got to think about breathing, and you've got to make sure that you are putting enough air into the instrument when you play. If you don't, you're never going to reach your full potential. So air, that's my thumb topic. The second topic that I feel is just as important as air is this idea of buzzing the mouthpiece. Now, I just got here, so I don't know if people have already talked about this yet. I'm sorry if it's redundant information. But again, if you hear all of the teachers here say the same thing, then realize that is an important topic. I don't know if you've ever thought of it this way, but the mouthpiece is actually the instrument. This is the actual instrument. This just amplifies, in most cases, what we do here. And if you're not buzzing with a good sound, we have a piano here. We don't have a piano, unfortunately. If you're not buzzing with a good sound, and if you're not buzzing with good intonation, good sound and good intonation on the mouthpiece, then the instrument, which is the mouthpiece, and the amplifier are going to have a big conflict in a lot of what you do on the instrument. And you don't want that. You want the mouthpiece and the instrument to be friends. You don't want there to be tension between them. And when you're not buzzing the right pitch, you're not buzzing with a good sound on the mouthpiece, you go and you try to play on the instrument and they're fighting. You don't want that. So we've got to buzz well on the mouthpiece. And again, it's got to be a little bit every day, preferably with a piano, with something that is going to give you a pitch reference so that you make sure that you're not buzzing above or below the pitch. You don't want or right in the center of the pitch immediately when you buzz. And again, this is going to be something that we explore as I hear people play, and we'll talk more about that. But buzzing the mouthpiece in the proper way, big time important. Third topic for the third finger of this 5-finger discount that we're outlining here. 5 things that are free that you can think about every day to help you improve as a bass trombone player. Third topic, tension. Work when you play. Body work when you play. This is, I would say, I'm pretty fortunate in that I get to travel to lots of different places and hear lots of different people play and observe the issues that different people have around the world. And I would say if I had to, maybe after air, if I had to pick one topic that plagues bass trombone players, even tenor trombone players around the world, is this topic of too much physical work when you play. And today I was kind of looking around the room, and during that rehearsal with Ben, I noticed lots of people were stopping and bending over and sitting down and saying, "Oh, my back hurts. Oh, my shoulder hurts. This and that." If you're not, especially when you're young, if you're not developing the ability to pick up the instrument and play in a really relaxed way without extra work, without extra physical work, when you get older, your body is going to start to break down. And the reason why I say this is a huge problem for trombone players is because most of us start playing the trombone when we're right around 10 years old. There are some exceptions to that rule, but I would say worldwide, most people right around 10 years old start playing the trombone. And I've got a 9 and 11-year-old at home right now, and somebody that's 10 years old about that tall, not very physically developed. And you can imagine, you can think about putting a trombone in the hands of somebody that's about that tall. Half the time it doesn't have a great slide on it. They're having to work really hard to move the slide. So they're holding up this instrument that's very, very heavy. They're having to move a slide that doesn't work properly half the time. And so right from the beginning, in many cases, we as trombone players develop this physical effort to playing that if we want to reach our potential as players, we've got to forget. We've got to learn to play as relaxed as possible. Get rid of that extra work. And it affects your range. It affects your sound. It affects your rhythm. It affects your intonation. It affects everything you do. This topic of tension in your body when you play. And the fact is, if you're not breathing well, and if you're not buzzing well, that exacerbates this problem of being too tense when you play. So the first three, what did we say the first one was? The thumb topic? Air. The second one was? Buzzing. The third one? Tension in the body. Eliminating that tension. The fourth one that hugely important for me is the moving parts of the body. What are the two major moving parts of your body when you play the trombone? What are the two major moving sections of your body? One's pretty obvious. The arm, the slide, and the other one is the tongue. Those are the two. Matter of fact, I mean, the lips move a little bit, of course, but I would say that maybe the only two parts of your body, and this is slightly controversial, but I'll justify it in a second. But some people would say those are the only two parts of your body that should truly move when you play, is your tongue and your slide. The rest of it's just extraneous, unneeded movement. But let's address that. The moving parts of your body must be in the right place when you play. Let's talk about the slide. Now, most of us are taught when we're 10 years old and that trombone gets put in our hand, our band director says the trombone has how many positions? 7 positions. That's the standard Yamaha standards of excellence explanation of the trombone slide. 7 positions. But very soon, and surely by this time when we're all older and budding professionals and great amateurs and even professional players, we've got to come to terms with the fact that the slide has many more positions than just 7. There are hundreds of positions on the slide. You guys realize? I mean, some of us are shaking our heads, and some of us are like, "What? I thought there were only 7." There are many micro positions on the slide. And we have got to find those positions. And I would say that the farther away from the true sweet spot, I call them the sweet spot on the slide positions for those notes, we are, once again, the lips and the instrument are fighting. We don't want that. So the moving parts of your body have to be in the right place, which means the slide, knowing where the positions are. By the way, what was should we be doing on a daily basis to help our slide, to help our arm figure out where those positions are on a daily basis? What helps us figure that out? Slow. I heard it when I walked in today. Those simple, slow exercises, those long tones, those slow slurs that I heard Ben having everyone do. And matter of fact, I hear every high-level professional player in the world do. There's a reason why we start with that. It's because it's when you play slowly, when you work slowly, you improve quickly. And so with a tuner on and with a metronome on in the morning, doing those slow exercises, all the different variations that are possible, your slide and your arm slowly learns where those positions are on the slide. So the slide's got to be in the right place, and the tongue has got to be in the right place. Now, again, this is going to vary a little bit from person to person, what I'm about to say, because we're all very different physically. You know, if we went around the room and took pictures of everyone's face, there would be, 50 different faces, 50 different sets of teeth, 50 different tongues, 50 different sets of lips. So it's going to vary a little bit from person to person. But I would say that generally, the tongue has to find the right place inside of the mouth to hit when we articulate. Many of us struggle. I've heard already, just kind of walking around and listening to different conversations, I've heard different people mention, oh man, my articulations are not clear. I can't make the beginnings of my notes clear. And there are lots of reasons for that happening, but a major problem for many people is that the tongue is simply not hitting inside the mouth in the right place. For me, the tongue hits way out there for those notes. My tongue is way out there. My tongue is hitting way up there for those notes. And all the notes in between are somewhere in between. I mean, it's not an exact science. We really can't. Your jaws are not made of glass. You can't really see where your tongue is hitting inside your mouth. But the point is, allow the tongue to figure out where it needs to hit inside your mouth to help you articulate in the right place, given particular range. And once again, those exercises that I heard Ben having you do, and then I'm gonna have you do the same exercises tomorrow morning, just variations on that theme. Those exercises that move up and down the overtone series. The reason why we do those, hopefully in a repetitious daily way, is because we want to give the tongue the chance to figure out where it needs to hit inside the body. Repetition is a beautiful thing. Now I'm going to talk about this, I think, in another master class. But if you just give your body the chance through repetition, it will figure out what it needs to do oftentimes. I lived in China for 6 years. I watched little kids learn how to use chopsticks every day. And they didn't have moms there holding their fingers in place. No, just through daily repetitious practice, those little Chinese kids learned how to hold their chopsticks. We need to give our body a chance on the trombone to figure it out in that same way through repetitious daily practice of those simple exercises, again, that Ben had us doing. So that's the fourth finger of this, again, this free 5-finger discount process for outlook for getting better on the instrument. The moving parts of the body have got to be in the right place, the tongue and the slide. And the fifth one, which is a huge topic and multifaceted, but it has to do with this. And this is the perfect place to bring this up, a bass trombone conference. It has to do with the mind. It has to do with what we're thinking about as bass trombone players when we play, what our outlook about music is. I would say, bass trombone players generally have a big problem in that we often, I'm generalizing a little bit here, but I feel comfortable doing that. Many of us only get to a certain point as musicians, as artists, as creative beings. We get we get to about this point where the thing we love most about playing the instrument is that kind of stuff, which Ben was railing on everybody about in the rehearsal today for good reason. We've got to broaden our minds. We've got to expand how we think about art and how we think about music and how we think about playing the bass trombone beyond just being operators. We can't just be mindless operators of the instrument. And if you don't get beyond that, then you're probably never going to win an audition. And again, I want to throw out an idea to you that may be new for some of us. Some of us have thought about this, but many of us have not. You realize that when you audition for an orchestra as a bass trombone player, there's probably no other bass trombone player in the room. Because if you're auditioning, that means the guy before you's gone. So you have nobody in the room listening and judging about whether or not you should get the job. There's nobody in the room that has that bass trombone aesthetic that I'm talking about, that kind of blatty, like go play really loud all the time aesthetic. No. It's woodwind players. It's string players. It's conductors. They are the people that make the decisions about whether or not we get jobs. And if we, as bass trombone players, again, don't expand this fifth topic, we don't expand our mind, try to become a better musician each day, try to play in ways that that make woodwind players happy, that fit their aesthetic. If we don't every day try to move in the direction of playing in ways that make string players happy, that make conductors happy, then it's going to be very difficult to get a job. And I just won a job here in Europe not too long ago, and won a job in New York 7 years before that, and won a job in Hong Kong 6 years before that. And during that time in those places, I've sat on committees and talked to committees. I was playing with the New York Philharmonic when they had their most recent audition. I didn't audition, but I was talking to them about what they heard. And I was able to talk to my colleagues in the Radio Symphony Orchestra in Finland about what they heard. And I talked to people in Hong Kong. Every summer I listen to auditions for the Pacific Music Festival in Japan. And, almost to a person when I talk to committee members that don't play our instrument, they're shocked at how loud and how unmusical many players are when they walk in to take an audition. It's shocking for them. Many of them, this is the first time they've sat on a bass trombone audition. But this is a very serious thing, expanding your mind, becoming a great, beautiful playing artist on the instrument rather than just an operator that wants to play loud and low all the time. Super important. You don't want to spend, in some cases, hundreds of thousands of dollars to go to the best school in the world, spend $5, $6, $7, $8, $10,000 to have the best instrument you can buy, spend hundreds of dollars on private lessons, practice countless hours, buy a plane ticket, pay for a hotel room, pay for food, go to an audition, and have it all be lost because you just walked in and played way too loud and not a great musician, like a great musician. And so this is a huge topic, really. And how do we do that? How do we, as bass trombone players, how much time do I have?
60 minutes.
Okay. How do we, as bass trombone players, do that? What do we need to do? That's a big question. On the one hand, it is good to come. He's going to slap me when I say this, but on the one hand, we can't hang around with other bass trombone players too much because because this attitude of playing loud and unmusical will perpetuate itself in our community. We can't listen too much to bass trombone CDs. We do need lessons with bass trombone players, of course, but we've got to branch out. We've got to go to piano recitals. We need to go to great violin recitals. We need to go cello recitals. Denson, we need to buy their CDs. Everybody here needs to have a set of the Bach cello suites. We need to play for those people. It's not, when you're going to go take an audition, it's not good enough to just play for the trombone players. Once again, because they're going to be in the minority on the committee, and oftentimes they have the same, they'll have the same flaws in their thinking that we have as trombone players. No, you need to play mock auditions for string players. They're the people that are going to say, "Oh, that note was super sharp." They're the people that are going to be the most picky about intonation and rhythm and interpretation. They're going to be able to tell you, "Oh, for me that was a little bit too much." The woodwind and the string players, they're going to be the ones that help you round out your musicianship and round out your excerpts as you prepare for an audition. So, huge topic. This topic of getting beyond the traditional low brass player's creed mindset of playing the bass trombone. But it's, let's face it, it's getting harder and harder in this world to get a job, right? Everybody agree with that? I just read an article the other day that said the concertbow might not be here in a couple of years. You guys see? I was shocked by that, So there are fewer and fewer jobs. It's getting more and more competitive. And, if you want to compete, if you want to be successful and get a job playing this instrument, this fifth topic of expanding your mind can either be a roadblock or it can be a passageway into finding that success. So, all of these five ideas, once again, free. 5-finger discount. They're free. You don't have to spend money to be thinking about this in your daily routine, in your daily life as a trombone player. But it's important that you do it. Think about the air. Think about buzzing a little bit. Make sure you're not playing in a way that's super tense. Make sure the moving parts of your body are in the right place and you're doing things to allow that to happen. And on a daily basis, expand your mind to become a better musician each day. All very important. So those are my ideas. And when you guys play, I'm going to start from those 5 ideas. When I hear people play, I can hear somebody right now if somebody wants to play. I'm going to use those 5 ideas as the prism. I'm going to hear your playing and I hear my own playing through the prism of those 5 ideas. Those are the 5 ideas I'm going to do. Does anybody have a question? And it can be a challenging question. I don't mind somebody standing up and saying, "Hey, I don't agree with that. Let me tell you why." I want to discuss it. I want to find some common ground. Does anybody have a question or a comment about anything? Any of those 5? Yes.
You mentioned the point of buzzing. Every musician I speak with use several times for each day to maintain this buzzing. Several few minutes a day, several more. What is your approach for this topic?
Okay. Buzzing. We'll jump into that for a second now. First of all, I want to say that you can do too much buzzing on just the mouthpiece. You don't want to spend 5 hours a day just buzzing the mouthpiece. Because let's face it, as great as I think an exercise it is slightly different from when you actually have the mouthpiece inside the horn. There's a little more back pressure, and it's a slightly different feeling. So you don't want to spend hours and hours a day doing that. I remember a very famous, two very famous teachers that I could mention that we would all know were on a brass tour, and they were driving 5 hours, and they had a buzzing contest for that 5 hours. They would try to outbuzz each other. And at the end of that 5 hours, they got there, and neither one of them played the trombone because it wrecked their chops.
Names?
So,
You want names?
No. But for me, I think a few minutes a day, just to connect your brain and your lips, your brain, your ear, and your lips. And it's important to do it every day. Does everybody agree that buzzing is important? Does everybody agree with that? I think we'd all agree with that. And, I want to throw out this idea to you. The buzzing of the lips are a lot like the buzzing of your vocal cords. It's the same concept. Tissue vibrating to produce a pitch of our choosing. Right? That's what speaking is. That's what buzzing is. And again, I have a 9 and 11-year-old, but I remember very clearly when they were young and they were beginning to speak, when they were learning how to speak. In the beginning, it was nonsense. They knew what they wanted to say. They wanted to say, I'm hungry, I'm tired, or I got poop in my pants. That's what they wanted to say. But in the beginning, their vocal cords were not coordinated. They had not practiced enough to coordinate their vocal cords to be able to express those ideas. But again, I'm going to use this word, through repetitious practice, daily repetitious practice, slowly they learn how to express this idea that they had. We've got to give our lips the same opportunity to do that through daily repetitious buzzing. And I mentioned having a piano. You've got to have a reference. You can't just I guess there are some really gifted people in this world with perfect pitch and can just pick a pitch out of the air and when they buzz, know that if it's sharp or flat. But most of us don't have perfect pitch. Most of us need a pitch reference when we buzz. And so what I did for many years as a student, and I even do now quite often, is I go to the piano in the morning and I start with a middle B flat. After I do my breathing exercises, I go to the piano, plunk out a B flat, and I try to buzz it. If I'm below it or if I'm above it, I'm going to make sure that I'm right on pitch. And I'll do some simple 3-note slurs, maybe a tune of some kind, but 3 to 4 minutes of that. Now, the sound of the buzz is a topic that's often discussed. Some people would say that the sound of your buzz needs to be super bright and super loud. I don't agree with that, really, to be honest with you. I think a good sounding buzz is actually a little bit airy because it insinuates that air is able to leave your body, which is a good thing. When your lips are jammed together, I don't even know if I can produce that bright buzz, but that kind of sound, that kind of bright, tense sound is not good. That insinuates that the air is having trouble leaving your body because this is clamped down and you're using lots of pressure down there. We don't want that when we buzz. We want the air to be able to leave the body in a really full, relaxed way. Now, I've already heard somebody ask Ben about a breathing device, and maybe this is a good topic to bring this up. I'm a person that, uses the breathing device practically every day. I'm going to step off for just a second and grab it out of my case back here. Sorry. Is the air. That's the first thing I address. That's the first thing I look for in somebody's playing. Are they using enough air, and are they using it properly? Over and over again, I hear somebody play. It doesn't sound so good. We grab this thing, and I have them buzz, and it's something like this. The ball's not moving. You guys have seen this before, right? It's a device that basically measures the airflow. If enough air is passing through this thing, the ball rises to the top. If there's not, it doesn't rise to the top. So somebody will buzz into this thing, the ball won't move, and they're shocked. How could the ball not be moving? Oftentimes they'll check and see if it's broken. And of course it's not. And through some gentle exercises, some coaxing, eventually they're able to make the ball rise to the top. And then we go back to the horn, and over and over and over again, it sounds beautiful. It's like night and day, their sound. So I use this on a daily basis to make sure that enough air is passing through my buzzing lips. I kind of wandered off your topic a little bit. What's the guy's name back there?
Mir.
Does that kind of answer your question a little bit? Yeah. So buzzing at pitch and with a nice air-injected sound. Very important when you buzz the mouthpiece. So, Sorry.
Yeah. Connected to that, one of your videos you talk about avoiding lack of compression.
Yes.
How does that square with being support?
Good. That's a very good question. My big regret in that video is that I did not go into that more because in retrospect, maybe that idea is a little confusing. Yeah, in my teaching, I emphasize not bearing down on the air too much. And David mentioned how can you play a note and blow air without supporting it? The fact is, there is a little bit of compression when we play. But the important thing is that you find the right balance. The right balance between bearing down too much and the note you're playing. And, again, I would say that most trombone players around the world use too much tension, they bear down too much. They use, and this is, I'm giving away my topic here a little bit, but they use those poop muscles. I call them poop muscles because those are the muscles we use when we defecate. They use those muscles way too much. We use those muscles way too much when we play. And we'll do this tomorrow when we warm up. But, for me, low B flat, right? The easiest note on the instrument. For many of us, the first note we learn on the instrument. Are very similar. Physically, very similar. And most people, when they move into that bolero B flat range, again, left over from when we're little kids and we see that high G on the page, we think, I've got to go for it to get that note come out. That's the wrong approach. Less is more when it comes to physical effort. The less physical effort you can use to play a particular note on the instrument, the better it will come out. And it's about finding the right balance. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and say that when I play in that register, there's not a little bit of compression. There's a little bit of work there, but it's not near as much as most people use. And the trick is to find the right balance. Starting, and the way we do that, we're going to do it tomorrow in the warm-up, the way we do that is we begin in the very easy register, working as little as possible, playing something, again, just low B flat. Memorize that feeling. Memorize how that feels physically. And then start expanding outward from that note, trying to move as little away from that feeling as possible. No change. No change. It's the same feeling of being relaxed. I'm feeling a little bit there, but again, not too much. So, again, that statement on my video was a little bit ambiguous and maybe confusing. But the point is that we need to work as little as possible with compression when we play. Again, I get to be around some of the greatest high trombone players in the world, and I'm sitting next to these guys listening to them play some of the hardest stuff you can imagine, and they look like they're barely working. They're not going when they play. It's like it seems effortless. Tommy Dorsey was like that. So that's what I meant by that statement. Great. So I hope this is kind of a primer for what I'm about as a player and a teacher, and I'm looking forward to hearing some people play, and I'll play a little more as well as the festival goes on. But yeah, thank you.
Thank you.